Hi everyone, this is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel Pharma World.
Today's topic is UV visible spectrophotometry as per USP 197U, USP 857, EP 2.2.25 and IP 2.4.7.
Let us see the basic principle. The ultraviolet and visible range of electromagnetic radiation is useful tool for spectroscopic analysis. The entire electromagnetic radiation has huge energy with big range of increasing wavelengths starting from gamma rays followed by X-rays, ultraviolet, visible, infrared, microwaves and radio waves, etc. This is a big subject by itself. But among all, today's topic is limited to using of ultraviolet and visible range of the electromagnetic radiation. Ultraviolet and visible radiation interacts with matter, which causes electronic transitions, that is, promotion of electrons from the ground state to a higher energy state. The basic principle is that when the organic matter is subjected to or exposed to ultraviolet and visible range of the radiation, there are electronic transitions promoting electrons from the ground state to high energy state. The ultraviolet range is between 180 and 380 nanometers. The visible range is between 380 and 780 nanometers. The visible range is between 380 and 780 nanometers. Do you know why it is called visible range? The sensors in your eye can detect these wavelengths. Like a UV detector for a UV light, eye is a detector for wavelengths of visible range. Nanometer is also called as millimicron. This is the other terminology which is rarely used to represent the wavelength, but it is the same as the nanometer. Let us see the basic operation. See this picture. For source of ultraviolet and visible light, two kinds of lamps, a deuterium lamp for measurement in the ultraviolet range and a tungsten lamp for measurement in the visible range are used as light source of a spectrophotometer. A lens or a collimator concentrates all the rays onto the monochromator or prism. These passes through a selected wavelength slit and passes through the sample compartment. The detector photocell detects the ratio of I0 by IT and is measured as absorbance units AU. Let us see the important parameters for calibration of the UV visible spectrophotometer. Control of wavelength, control of absorbance. If you see the picture in the previous slide, it is clear that the entire performance of the UV spectroscopy revolves around wavelength and absorbance. These are the key parameters to calibrate. So control of wavelength and control of absorbance have to be established for the UV visible instrument. In addition to the above parameters, following supporting parameters. also have to be established to make it fully compliant to the requirement. They are limit of stray light, resolution. All these parameters have to be established during the calibration of the instrument, which is a part of checking of performance of the instrument. Let us see how each parameter is calibrated. The control of wavelength. This is to ensure that the accuracy of the wavelength axis over the intended operational range is correct within the acceptable limits. The first parameter to control is wavelength. Accurate interaction between the matter and the light source largely depends on the accuracy of the wavelength at which the matter is exposed. For non-diode array instruments, wavelength accuracy and precision are determined over the operational range using at least 6 replicate measurements. Statistically, precision and accuracy is estimated from at least 6 replicate measurements. For wavelength accuracy, the difference of the mean measured value to the certified value of the certified reference material must be within plus or minus 1 nanometer in the UV region of 200 to 400 nanometers, and in the visible range of 400 to 700 it must be within plus or minus 2 nanometers. So the wavelength accuracy must be within 1 nm in 200 and 400 range and within 2 nm in 400 to 700 range. Holmium perchlorate solution may be used effectively over the entire range of UV and visible. The values are given as follows. See the list of wavelengths. The acceptance criteria is within 1 nanometer on the values on the left side, and for the list on the right side it should be within 2 nanometers. The next parameter to control is absorbance of energy by the matter. This is to establish the transmittance, accuracy, precision and linearity of a given system. In control of absorbance, the transmittance and accuracy, precision and linearity are checked. The magnitude of absorption of a solution is measured as absorbance A, and this is calculated as A is equal to log 10 of incident light I0 divided by the transmitted light IT. The absorption is expressed as absorbance and is calculated as a ratio of the incident light and the transmitted light. Don't get confused with the words transmitted light and transmittance. Transmittance means it is the ratio of the incident light energy to that of the transmitted light energy through the sample cell. So it is necessary to verify the absorbance accuracy and precision of a system over its intended operational range by using the appropriate procedure for the wavelength and absorbance ranges required. So appropriate procedures are provided in the next slide. This information can be obtained from various pharmacopoeias also. The procedure and the conditions are given as below. Up to 200 milligrams per liter solutions of potassium dichromate provide reference values of up to 3 absorbance units at one of the certified values of 235, 257, 313 or 350 nanometers. These solutions are available as the certified reference materials also, or can be prepared according to NIST standards. Using potassium dichromate solutions, the absorbance accuracy must be within plus or minus 1% of absorbance. For values above 1.0 absorbance or plus or minus 0.010 absorbance units for values below 1.0 absorbance, whichever is larger. The absorbance precision can be determined as the standard deviation of at least 6 replicate measurements at 2 or more absorbance levels over the operational range. So, as a statistical requirement, the measurements from 6 replicates have to be considered for evaluation.
The standard deviation must not exceed plus or minus 0.5% of absorbance for values about 1.0 absorbance or plus or minus 0.05 absorbance units for values below 1.0 absorbance, whichever is larger. For the control of absorbance at 235 nanometers, 257 nanometers, 313 nanometers, and 350 nanometers, dissolve 57 to 63 milligrams of potassium dichromate in 0.05 molar sulfuric acid and dilute with 1000 ml with the same acid. For the control of absorbance at 430 nanometers, dissolve 57 to 63 milligrams of potassium dichromate or in 0.05 m sulfuric acid and dilute to only 100 ml with the same acid. Of course, this information can be obtained from pharmacopoeia also. These are all very specific calibration procedure requirements. The information on wavelength, the specific absorbance maximum, and the tolerance are given in the slide.
Let us see what is a stray light. Although the measurement of absorbance or transmittance is a ratio measurement of intensities and therefore theoretically is independent of monochromatic source intensity, practical measurements are affected by the presence of unwanted radiation called stray radiant energy or stray light. Stray light is similar to unnecessary scattered light that is neither absorbed by the matter nor transmitted out. Although the absorbance is independent of source intensity, it is important to know that the stray light affects the measurements significantly. In addition, the adverse effect of stray light increases with aging of optical components and lamps in the spectrophotometer. The impact could be significant if the aging of optical components increases. The effects are greater at the extremes of the detector and lamp operational ranges. So the effects are more at extremes of the detector range and lamp operating range. So at 200 nanometers or at 700 nanometers, the stray light can be more and it can impact significantly. This table gives the information on various liquids or solutions used for measurement of stray light at various ranges of wavelengths. Stray light may be detected at a given wavelength with suitable filters or solutions. For example, the absorbance of a 12 gram per liter solution of potassium chloride in a 1 centimeter cell increases steeply between 220 nanometers and 200 nanometers and is greater than 2 at 198 nanometers when compared with water as compensation liquid. Suitable certified reference materials may also be used. This is a method used for estimating the sterilite. Let us see another important parameter, resolution. The resolution of the spectrophotometer can be determined by measuring the ratio of the absorbance of a 0.02% volume by volume solution of toluene in hexane UV grade at the maximum and minimum at about 269 and 266 nanometers respectively, using hexane as the reference. Resolution of necessary bandwidth has significant impact on the measurement. Narrower the band, better are the results. So, for sharp absorption bands, the spectral bandwidth of the spectrophotometer used should not be greater than 1/8 of the natural half bandwidth of the compound's absorption. The absorbance ratio obtained depends on the spectral bandwidth of the instrument. For most pharmacopoeial quantitative purposes, the spectral bandwidth of 2 nanometers is sufficient, and the acceptance criteria for the ratio is not less than 1.3. So generally a bandwidth of 2 nanometers is acceptable and the ratio of not less than 1.3 is acceptable when measured with toluene. Here one important point to note is that you have to use the UV grade hexane. Check the pharmacopoeia for specifications for this grade. Not all hexanes pass to this requirement. This is a very important point. The Indian Pharmacopoeia says resolution power when stated in a monograph record the spectrum of 0.02% volume by volume solution of toluene in hexane UV. Here also you have to say UV means UV grade hexane only you have to use. The ratio of the absorbance at the maximum at about 269 nanometers to that at the minimum at about 266 nanometers is not less than 1.5 unless otherwise specified in the monograph. Other important aspects to look into are the spectral slit width for quantitative analysis. To avoid errors due to the spectral slit width, when using an instrument on which the slit width is variable at the selected wavelength, the slit width must be small compared with the half width of the absorption band, but it must be larger as possible to obtain a high value of I0. Therefore, a slit width is chosen such that further reduction does not result in a change in the absorbance reading. Another important aspect is the cells. The tolerance on the path length of the cells used is plus or minus 0.05 centimeters. When filled with the same solvent, the cells intended to contain the solution to be examined, and the compensation liquid must have the same transmittance. So for this, never use different cells for measurements. You should always use matched cells. See, the tolerance is not more than 0.005 centimeters. When you buy the quartz cells, make sure that they are matched. And for this, you get a certificate also. To the extent possible, this is the recommendation. But under certain extreme conditions, a correction may be applied. The cells must be cleaned and handled with care. Cleaning of cells is very important. Never use strong acidic cleaning reagents like chromic acid for cleaning the cells. Use mild detergents. Soak the cells overnight in diluted mild detergent for better results. Also, never use broken or scratched cells. You have to store them well to avoid scratches on the light path, that is the clear side of the cells. I hope you understood the intent of the UV visible operation. Read USP chapter 197, EP 2.2.25 and IP 2.4.7 for details of qualification and validations. The USP chapter 857 is very useful. Read and try to understand each parameter you really enjoy. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like and share. Thank you.